Hi, everybody. This is Craig, and I want to welcome you to Out on Films Conversations. And today I have the pleasure of being joined by Rafael Gomes, who is the director of music for Bleeding Hearts. Rafael, welcome to Out on Film.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and to talk to be here, not
Right.
there, but here.
I want to say welcome to Atlanta, sort of.
Sort of, yeah. I'm in
Right.
São Paulo, but anyway, we are together and it's
Exactly.
a pleasure. Yes.
You know, so there are not a lot of advantages to being virtual for a festival, but one of them is being able to connect with filmmakers all over the world, which is what we've been able to do for this festival. So there's not a lot of upsides to it for a lot of reasons, but this is one of the positive things that we're able to talk to people who we might not be able to have at the festival. So it's a pleasure to have you joining us from Sao Paulo. So I wanted just to jump in and start Music for Bleeding Hearts. Tell us, this started, as I understand, as a book. Is that correct?
As a play.
As a play.
It's a play I've written and directed 10 years ago when I was young, when I was the age of the characters in the film. And it premiered here in São Paulo. It's exactly 10 years ago. The premiere date was October 7th. This week we're gonna celebrate like 10 years of the premiere of the play. And the play were three interconnected monologues of those three characters that are now the protagonists of the film. And the play was like a small, huge success, or a huge, small success. Meaning it was not a commercial play, like a big production, but for its size, it went very well and it was presented in a lot of cities in Brazil, in the state of São Paulo. We did like more or less, we were, how do I say that? Like we were presenting the play for 3 years, not non-consecutive, in non-consecutive periods,
right?
But like we were alive with the play for 3 years, and so then I decided we could translate that into a film. And for that, I encountered the producers, Diana Almeida and Daniel Ribeiro, from the film The Way He Looks. I believe people know this film. It was a big Brazilian hit in the LGBTQ plus community. And they were the ones who gave the strength to this project for it to become a feature film. In the meantime, I directed another feature prior to this, a very small film, but that was like kind of my first feature in a traditional way. I mean, with a big crew and everything. So it was great. Like it was my first play and kind of my first feature.
So 10 years later, what made you decide that you wanted to tell this story again in this format as a feature film?
I think the first thing is a film remains. It's there. It's never gonna die. While theater is like ephemeral and it ends. And the beauty of the theater is that it ends also in a way.
Right.
That you have to be there and have to be present. But the film can go by itself. I mean, it's in Atlanta now. I'm in Atlanta in a way. That wouldn't happen with a play. I mean, instead someone there like staged the play. But anyway, so that was the first thing to like make this story eternal in a way. I mean, to crystallize it in a screen. And also we believed that the fact that the play went very well here in Brazil made us realize more and more that we had an audience, a young audience, a young LGBTQ plus audience that wanted to see themselves on screen. I mean, represented in a story that talked to their hearts about their inner life, about their feelings, about their emotions. We have few films or series in Brazil produced in Brazil with our culture, our language, that like focus on these stories, on these narratives. So that was a big push, I believe, to make us do the film. And also the size, the way he looks, the film, the way he looks acquired, it was another proof that this kind of stories to this kind of audience, they were lacking. I mean,
Yeah.
the people wanted that. So I think that's more or less why,
Okay.
what made us do the film.
So you present these characters and these people in I guess, like you said, in all of their complexity. I mean, they're young, they are in love, they're in lust, they're back and forth. It's very messy. They're very fluid. So talk to us a little bit about how these characters came to be in the way that you wanted to portray them.
I think the main thing is I wanted to portray, like I said, their inner life, their feelings. So that gave to the film, to the script, and then to the film a very clear focus. I mean, of course they have jobs, of course they have family, of course they have, but that's not the main issue for them. I mean, nobody is suffering because of their jobs or or because of money. A little bit in a scene or two, but that's not the main subject, and that wasn't supposed to be. So when I decided to center the story, to center what we wanted to bring to screen in the feelings, to make a cinema of feelings about these three people, that gave space to portray, I mean, everything that you just said. I mean, how they wish, how they get frustrated, how they love, how they think they love, how they project their willings, their desires, and everything that goes wrong and everything that goes right being wrong, and all of that, and sex and affection and threesomes and people who don't know if they want to be with a boy or with a girl or any other possibility.
Right.
I mean, and of course that has an urban context. I mean, São Paulo is a very, very big city, as I imagine Atlanta is, or as many other big cities around the world. And but that was the world, that is the world I live in. I mean, when I talk about relationships and affections, I'm not 25 anymore. I'm 37 now, but I was 26 when I wrote that play that originated the film. So what we see on the screen is part of my experience, of course, and part of what I observed on my friends, their desires, their way of being, their frustrations and everything. So I think that's it.
I mean, one of the things that struck me when I was watching it, you know, and I am much older than all of you, but even though you center around the lives of these three young people, it's still accessible for all ages. It was kind of nice to kind of remember what it was like to be that age, to be in messy relationships, you know, and just let it go and just be fluid without any real structure and boundaries. And so I was really struck by how universal it can speak to everyone. Did you know that was going to happen, or is that just a lovely byproduct of creating these people, that they're still all people that we can relate to and feel their journey?
That's great to hear. That makes me very, very happy. I didn't know that was going to happen, but I wanted that to happen. The log line we had to the play was sentimental monologues for young hearts. And I always say young hearts does not mean your chronological age. It means your heart. It means if you're open and willing to passion and to love and to affection. People become very cynical. People are cynical even when they're 15 sometimes. I mean, so I do understand that the film works for some audiences, and some don't, because people are. We also teased about that. We said this film is not for the cynicals.
Right.
If you're cynical or skeptical, that film. This film is not for you,
Right.
and it's okay because not every film is for everybody.
Right.
But if you have a young heart in you, I mean, and by a young heart, I mean this. I mean, if your sentimental being is open to remembering or to projecting or to living or to experimenting or to reflect yourself in that kind of love, big, how do I say, like almost cheesy or corny. I don't know the term in English, but I mean, yeah. Since we also do this thing with the music. I mean, music is a big part of the film, because what we say there in the story is that music is a big part of our sentimental education. I mean, things we learn in pop songs or opera or tango, whatever. I mean, this way of turning things bigger than they are sometimes, love and feeling. So yes. Sorry.
Yeah. So I was going to say, so music obviously is such a big part of this film, and the soundtrack is beautiful, and you weave so many different kinds of music through depending on what the scene is. I mean, you have opera for big dramatic scenes, and pop music and classical music, and so talk to us a little bit about kind of where you came to this and bring all of this music. And like you said, we use music in life as kind of benchmarks about where we've been in life. So it triggers a lot of response. So how did you really put together this kind of amazing soundtrack?
As you said, I mean, the film, I wanted the film to be about that too, not just a film with a soundtrack, but a film about the soundtrack of our lives. I mean, your playlist today, your top 10 most listened songs today tell us who you are today or where you are today, sentimentally speaking, or where you were 10 or 5 years ago or months ago. Anyway, so that was very important. That was a very big part of the narrative and of the story of the film, to have these songs like talking to the characters and to the situations in a more present level than just like a soundtrack that just played by God, the God of the film. It wasn't like that. I wanted the songs to be in the film. I mean, and sometimes not only as sound, but also visually. That's why we have musicians. The musicians that appear in the film, some of them are very, very well known in Brazil. And it was like a great honor and pleasure and fortunate to have them on the film. So so we wanted that to like make this point that music is with us everywhere and every time. You sit on a bar, there's music. You go, you walk on a sidewalk, there's someone playing for money. You go to a karaoke bar, of course, there's someone singing. Or you go to a concert, and of course, there's music, and so on. Or you have music on your earphone. So it was a very long process of getting these 35 songs that appear on the film. Because of course it's not an easy negotiation. So to put songs on film, it's expensive, it's complicated. We took like 6 or 7 months to edit the film, and we took another 10 months to decide, to like decide and close the deal on every song that appears there, because it's a lot of back and forth. Sometimes we were almost getting an agreement to have this phonogram, and oh no, everything went wrong. Or it was a song like international song, and we had to pay in dollars, and dollar for us now is very, very expensive. It was not okay with its economic and with a lot of other things, but that's not our subject now. Anyway, so it was complicated, but we fought a lot. And of course, we could count on the generosity sometimes of some of the musicians that allowed us to have their songs, their work on the film.
So there's obviously the music that is such an integral part and almost its own character as you say. There's also the Shakespearean structures and references. So the obvious, where they talk about Romeo and Juliet, and you know, the obvious of young people falling in love, but you also weave a lot more of some of those structures through with, you know, the kind of, I'm loving this, you know, couples switching, and I'm in love with this one, I'm in love with that one. Talk to us a little bit about kind of that, where that kind of came from, as you kind of put some of that structure or those references into the film.
As it happens with the music in the film, the music is the main subject
Right.
when we talk about references in the film. But I do believe, and that's what I wanted to portray in the film, that we get our sentimental education, to stay with this terminology, from a lot of sources. So it's the films we see, the series we watch, or the books we read, or the poetry, or the plays we watch, or sometimes we don't even watch. I mean, I believe there's so many people who never actually seen a staging of Romeo and Juliet, but they
Right.
know the play, because we know it's a reference so widely known. And that's what interested me in this. I mean, not exactly to talk about Romeo and Juliet. It's not even a play I love. I mean, I love Shakespeare, but not specifically this play from all of his plays. But it's what interested me was how this play still has such a big role in our imaginary, in our emotional and sentimental imaginary, and of course for young people. So I wanted to go along with the music part. I wanted these other references to appear, to do exactly that, to show how we relate to those ideas of love. Sometimes very completed ideas, but they don't in the paper, but they don't work for us, because it's not how life works. And sometimes, like, they are a quotation or a poem or anything. They are like hints for us, or like small pieces for us to build our great puzzle, emotional puzzle. I mean, that's more or less the path I wanted to go in the film.
And there are a couple of, like, I just want to point out, there's one of the scenes that I just thought was really beautiful in regards to this, about how we talk about love and these references, is when when Felipe and Isabella are in first in the dance class, and he's describing her. I mean, it's such a beautiful connection that the two of them make, in that kind of little dramatic, but in an art setting, almost like a monologue. It was really striking. I mean, it was really a beautiful moment.
And that came from real life in a way, because the guy in the film who plays the teacher, the dance teacher, he's really a dance teacher.
Okay.
And he's the guy who works with me in the. I also have a career in theater. This was my first play 10 years ago, but I directed like 9 plays after that, and we always work together. He's the guy who like prepares the actors in the movement area. I mean, he's the body. I don't know the term in English, but anyway, he works with the actors concerning the body,
almost like a choreography.
The choreography, yeah, kind of. If it was a musical, he would be a choreographer, the choreographer. Anyway, but that's what he does. With me, we work together. So that is actually an exercise we do in rehearsal. And he does with his students in the classes. He also does dance classes, like describing the other person, because it's an exercise in seeing someone. And then so it came from that, like this exercise. And of course, in the film, we do like this dramatic plus, that making Philip describe not only what he's seeing, but what he's projecting on her, and she's thinking that he's seeing her soul. You know, right? But of course, that's the film. That's drama, and that's the dramatic part of it, or the romantic part of it. But it comes from a real thing. It's a real exercise.
Yeah. There's another piece that I thought that you captured really, really well, which is really centered around Ricardo, and everybody really giving him kind of a hard time about, you don't really know how to love, you really are just a romantic and it's all fiction. And even in that moment where when they're breaking up and he says everything is meant to end, I mean, he's really, I think he, when we're all that age and trying to figure out what is love and what is not love, and we're infatuated and not, and think we're in love, talk to us a little bit about kind of how you came to portray that through Ricardo.
I think that's one of the biggest updates that I did from the play 10 years ago to the film nowadays, because of course I got older and hopefully wiser.
Right.
Meaning, maybe in the play, Ricardo was more of a hero. I mean, he was a romantic guy who wanted that, and if the guy he desires do not want him back, that's unfair. The word is wrong,
right.
And of course I'm right, and he has to desire me too, because
right.
that's how things are supposed to be. But that's not how things are supposed to be. So bringing to the film the contradiction. I mean, making the characters face each other in a conflicted way. I mean, to give the other a different point of view. That was very important to me in this transposing the play to the film. And I really didn't want Ricardo to be, because it's easy to fall in the trap of making him the owner of the truth.
Right.
Because he dominates the film in a way, and he's very passionate about things and about people, and he's the one who relates to everyone and to a lot of people. So it was really important to me to make him sometimes like face the wall, like get punched in a metaphorical way. So someone turn to him and say, "You are not right. You're egotistical and you're wrong. You think you want that, you don't want that," and so on. So that was a big part. That was a big part for me, for the film to also work in since the characters are so have such a romantic view sometimes about life and about emotions, how to bring them to the floor, to real life. So that's how I try to do that.
So with them, and when we talk about these characters and everything, but everybody in this cast just really brings such life to all of them. So how did you cast this? I mean, it's a great cast. I mean, they all seem to work really well together. They have some great chemistry. So talk to us a little bit about how everybody came to kind of being involved with this project with you.
Actually, the two of the protagonists, the guy who plays Ricardo and the girl who plays Isabella, they were in the play. I mean, they premiered the play 10 years ago with me. So they bring these characters in them for all this time. So, I mean, they are very much in control of their complexions and of their subtleties, I believe. So for me, it was great that I could have them in the film, because it's a big part of the work is done already. I mean, finding these characters, they had it on them. So that was great. I mean, and they are very good friends to one another in real life. So this chemistry also translates to the screen in a way. The guy who plays Philip, he's younger than the other two actors, and I knew him already. He was a friend of ours. I knew him from other works we've done together, other projects, and he had seen the play when he was a teenager, when he was 16 or 15, and liked it very much. So he had already a relation with the source material, which was already also some steps were already taken in bringing him to this world, to this universe. And he also knew, he was acquainted with the other two actors. So of course we had weeks of rehearsal and we worked the material, but we started from a point that already advanced point. We were not starting from zero. And all the other characters, most of them are portrayed by people who, they're all actors, but they were in a way, in my circle of friends or affections or acquaintances. So this feeling of they are really a group of people who know each other or who don't know each other, but they fit to one another as a group. I think that's partially because it's true in real life.
Okay.
I mean, we are very much, we love one another very much, me and the other actors. And of course, there were like some special appearances. The actress who plays Felipe's mother, she's a very well-known actress in Brazil. I mean, she's a film and TV star, and I had worked with her in other projects as well, in which I was a screenwriter. I had never directed her, but I had written screenplays for things she had done in television, for instance. So it was also a very valuable participation in the film and so on. So that's it. It's mostly a cast of very good friends in the part. Yeah.
The other thing that you do, and I'm assuming you had to kind of adapt to the movie, is that you really do weave like now social media and this in an age group's use of social media just as part of what they do, but also as a plot device. I mean, to really kind of enhance you know, some of the plot is they're all watching each other on Instagram. So how did you come to weave all of that through? Because I'm imagining none of that would have been in the original stage play.
No. I mean, I think in 2010 we had Facebook, but it was not so widely used as today. I mean, today young people do not even use Facebook anymore. They were already in other apps. But I mean, we didn't have Instagram and a lot of other. We didn't have. We barely had iPhones in Brazil. 2010. We didn't use them. I came to have a smartphone, an iPhone, in 2012, I think. 20. Yeah. Anyway, so, but at the same time, doing a film today in 2020 about people in their 20s relating to one another, you have to go through social media. I mean, it's imperative. I would be crazy not to put in the story.
Right.
And at the same time, I didn't want it to be there just so it's there. Like it's a kind of a decorative thing. I mean, okay, they are young. They use cell phones.
Right.
So if it has to be there to be a more accurate and truthful portrait of how things work. So why not make it a plot device? I mean, so let's use it to create conflict here. So that's what I tried to do. I think that's in the film.
So tell us a little bit. So the film is on the festival circuit. So kind of what is happening with the film, and kind of what are your plans for it?
Like lots and lots of other filmmakers, we had a real setback. I mean, with the pandemic, because we premiered the film in October last year in New Fest in New York. It was like the world premiere, and then we exhibited it here in 2 festivals in Brazil, like still present in physical festivals in movie theaters. And then we had a premiere date in Brazil, like the national release in June. And of course that did not happen. The movie theaters are still closed in São Paulo as we speak. So we had all those months, like from February to now, that the film kind of was on standby because we didn't know what to do. So we actually decided to release the film digitally here in Brazil. In Brazil, it's available on video on demand and all the platforms on YouTube and iTunes and Google Play and so on. While it's now the film is being, actually since June, the film is being shown again in festivals, mostly in virtual editions like here, because that's what we can do. So it was shown in India, it was shown in Spain, it's now being shown in Atlanta. We're going to show in Italy next month. And yesterday we received an email from another, I think it's Croatia, maybe, I don't know, but another. So it's been like to 10 or 15 festivals
Okay.
already, and it's still alive. It's still going on. So I
Good.
think as long as we can, I hope the film travels a lot
Yeah.
also. Yeah.
So tell us, so what's next for you? What is the project? What are you working on now? So what can we see next from you?
I have this life divided between screen and theater. As I said, I was to premiere a play in 2 weeks when the pandemic hit and
Okay.
everything was suspended. So eventually I have to redo this
Okay.
play so it can open. I had another play that I was going to do afterwards that now it actually came first, and now this play I probably gonna work on that soon and open it on February. But that's all local work because it's theater, and as we
Right.
said, you have to be present to see it. But in film, I had just after Music for Bleeding Hearts, I shot another film, which also had its post production delayed by the pandemic. But it's now I'm in the final stages of post producing it, and it should be released next year. We don't have exact plans of where and how, but it's a musical, so I take the music thing one step ahead.
Okay.
Now it's a musical with songs, more like a film with the songs, not a La La Land kind of
Right.
music, but musical, but anyway, music, songs written to the story, to the plot that relates to the script. And it's not exactly LGBTQ themes. I mean, the protagonist he's heterosexual, but the main supporting character, almost a co-protagonist, he's a gay guy and has his issues, and also that's a theme that's also there.
Okay.
But the film is in Brazil. It's called the literal translation would be My Love Album, meaning album as a music album, and
Right.
also album like a album of remembrances and all. But I'm not sure what the English title would be, but we are thinking something about family album because it also has a family plot. It's
Okay.
related to that. So that's what next to me in film and screen and TV.
Excellent. Well, Rafael, I so appreciate you taking the time to talk with me about Music for Bleeding Hearts. I think that I'm excited for our audiences to see it. I think that people will really like it. I think it will speak to, like I said, all generations of people watching this film. So I really do appreciate you taking the time to talk with us. And good luck with the rest of the film and the new productions.
Thank you very much. I thank you for the invitation. I thank you for selecting the film to be there. I hope people watch it. I hope people liked it. And I apologize for my English. I'm kind of rusty. As I was speaking, I said, oh my God, the word is not coming. I don't know how to translate what I'm thinking, but I did my best.
Yeah,
I'm really
you were
sorry.
great.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for joining us for this conversation. And I hope that you all enjoy Music for Bleeding Hearts. Thank you.